By 1997, the peaceable, hippie-esque Lollapalooza vibe was being supplanted by a darker new metal mood, spearheaded by such bands as Limp Bizkit, Korn, and the Deftones. Along with this ominous new music came a change in the character of the mosh pit.
When I see what goes on in the pit now, it's to say what it was 10 years ago, it's certainly kicked up a notch.
The whole idea behind the mosh pit is sometimes misunderstood by these sick idiots who get in there.
You get in the pit to let out your aggressions, not beat up on the people that you're having a good time with.
You just get a lot of idiots, a lot of morons.
Too many jocks, sportos, Nazis, and fascists.
A lot more pits, a lot more violence, a lot more blood. A lot more people not caring that they're bloody.
We start out doing the wave, and then somebody gets a little more violent, and then the other guy gets a little more violent, and the next thing you know, there's a full-scale riot going on down there.
Anytime people get passionate, they fight.
It's crazy.
You come here and expect to get hurt, or just get out of the pit, you know?
Concert med-tent doctors saw this violent new moshing scene develop firsthand.
Typically, we see a lot of minor contusions to the head.
I crowd surfed before and I fell on my head. Woo!
To the neck, shoulders.
The guy jumped up on the stage for his 2 seconds of fame, you know, and then jumped down again. And he caught this chick right in the face. She was just standing there with her boyfriend watching it. And he kicked his teeth all over her boyfriend's shirt.
We see a lot of lacerations by blunt impact above the eye, eyebrow, below the eye.
One girl broke her nose open in a club. One guy blew his knee out.
We had a girl lose a finger at a show.
I got smashed against the cement. Look at those bruises.
I see this guy with his arm, his elbow is completely going the wrong direction, and the bone is sticking out, and he's bleeding, and he's just going, best thing I've ever done in my life.
The guy got his ear bit off. He was in the pit, and someone bit his ear off. The guy didn't even leave.
I would be at shows, and I go in the bathroom, some kid just run in laughing like, ha ha ha, and his face is bleeding. He's like, dude, I just got in the face, dude. That's bad. I love it.
You're looking out at the crowd and just be going like, geez, people must be getting killed out there.
Enter at your own risk, okay?
Despite the increasing risk of getting down in the pit, young women continued wanting to take part.
A lot of times the people who are rocking the hardest in the pit are girls.
Yeah, we see girls, and I like that.
I can't imagine why they would want to be there.
I just get in the pit and I annihilate people. It's fun.
That's where the excitement is. You don't get any better than the pit.
It was awesome. My ribs are killing me, though.
That you should be able to go in there, and if you feel like moshing, you mosh it, and not have to worry that you're going to be treated any differently.
Women also faced moshing problems that were specifically their own.
If a woman's got the guts to get up on top of a crowd, she should be able to do so without having her breasts groped and the rest of her body explored by the rest of the crowd.
There's usually 2 types of people. There's the kind of guys who are there to protect you and they don't want to hurt you, and then there's always sadistic people.
There should be equal opportunity for black eyes, maybe, because that's, I guess, why you go in there. But you shouldn't have to worry that just because you have breasts that you can't go into the mosh pit, because they're like a chew toy in the mosh pit.
It happens a lot, while we're playing, I'll look out and see some girl floating around and see guys' hands drift up their shirts.
I hate seeing guys grabbing up on them when they're trying to enjoy themselves. I'll stop and say, what the do you have a sister? How would you like that to be your sister? What would you do if your buddy did that to your sister? How would that make you feel?
The vile new mosh pit behavior of the post-Lollapalooza period surfaced most unforgettably and appallingly at the notorious Woodstock '99 festival. Woodstock '99 was hyped as another peace, love, and music affair along the lines of the original festival 30 years earlier.
Woodstock 99, gotta love ya!
We're enjoying the peace, love, and happiness.
By Friday night, the peaceful vibe was waning as new metal heroes Korn came on to get the crowd moshing.
That's right. See that? That's what Korn does when they come.
By Saturday night, Woodstock '99 had become a very different and much darker experience.
It wasn't really a pit.
I was going through the crowd, and then a pit started.
Mosh pits are opening up everywhere. Crazy, crazy energy running through the whole entire crowd.
There have really been some scary moments here just with crowd violence.
Woodstock 99, yeah, the mosh pit was not just a crime scene, but a well-documented crime scene.
Along with the now usual wild violence, Woodstock mosh pits also subjected women to unfettered groping and several reported instances of rape.
It was disgusting. I was molested, and I hate all men now.
To see women being grabbed in the crowd or having their clothes ripped off as they're crowd surfing, as a woman, it made me feel very nervous and uncomfortable.
I think women got themselves in situations they couldn't handle. They didn't realize what they were getting into.
As the crowd scene at Woodstock grew nastier, the musicians on stage sometimes made it worse.
I don't think they should have had people like Limp Bizkit here when we're promoting peace and he gets up there and says, peace.
They can't have Limp Bizkit and then they come out and say, all right, the crowd's gonna calm down, and then they have Rage Against the Machine come out, all right, you guys gotta calm down, and then Metallica come out. You can't do that.
How scary was it for you up there when they started ripping that place apart, when they started taking the plywood off the towers and stuff?
God. Dude, it's not our fault.
In the wake of this most recent Woodstock, it's not possible to see a mosh pit or to see a crowd behaving that violently and not feel kind of creeped out and nervous about it.
Woodstock 99 was an ominous warning. Following that now infamous event, many bands began to realize that they'd have to be ready to cool out the crowds at their concerts.
You guys gotta stay off the stage, man. You guys are f***ing up the whole show.
You gotta like try and take responsibility, go out, say something to the crowd, calm them down, because if you don't, they'll go crazy.
The bands can encourage what goes on in the pit and what goes on up front, and the more that they encourage the aggression going on, obviously the fans take the cue and go do what the bands tell them to do.
I think we actually had some kind of a policy where people climbed up on top of people. Like the first time, I think they'd get a warning, but if they did it again, then they would actually get kicked out of the shows.
I think the artist has a responsibility to let the crowd know that if they're going to be rowdy and stuff, that they have to do it in a safe way. And you know, if things get to a point where you think something dangerous could happen, then you stop it.
We won't let anybody get hurt at our show if we could help it. And if we were to ever see like a fight break out or something, we'll stop the music and handle that.
In the end, though, curbing concert violence is mainly a job for security professionals, not musicians.
It's the job of the band to get the crowd riled up. I mean, that's why we're all there. And it's security's job to make sure they have a controlled situation.
There's people out there getting exhausted, you know, and you come over, kicking people in the head, just be careful. That's the main key, is being safe, man.
This is not a boxing match. A few of them got carried away in there, and we talked to them outside.
Those guys are actually unsung heroes in a lot of ways. We played this one place that was kind of like a slope up from the stage, and these guys were catching kids like before these kids fell right on their head, like on the stage.
We have a security chief that kind of lets people know what to expect and what to.
He just has to look at you. Go.
And there are other ways to stop mosh pit violence before it gets started.
I've noticed a lot of shows that have like some kind of like barrier that goes in between the crowd. That's helping a lot.
T-barricade is basically a barricade that juts out into the audience and divides the audience into two halves.
If you don't want the whole floor to get going, then put that barricade out there, you know.
The T-barricade just breaks up the crowd a little bit and releases some of that tension, makes it a little bit less dangerous.
A little less, but who's ultimately responsible for fending off those mosh pit dangers that remain?
When you go to a show like this, you gotta look out for yourself and all the people that you're with and anybody that's at the show with you.
The band's gotta look out for the crowd's gotta look out for each other, the crowd has gotta look out for the bouncers, and the bouncers have to look out for the crowd.
The only thing I could say about the mosh pit is, like, you know, it's that old saying, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. You know, if you don't have a place there, don't be around it. Stand back, avoid it.
We might love it, but I'm telling you, all you moshers, be careful. There's some brothers out there that don't know what moshing means, and when you bump into them like that, it's on. I mean, I done seen a couple of guys out there get in the mosh pit and start moshing like they crazy, and then they get beat up, you know what I'm saying? So make sure you don't get jumped on when you out there moshing. For real.
Punk rock aerobics is a workout to punk rock music. We don't do stage dives, that's the one thing.
We will,
talk
though.
about
If
it.
we get a bigger class, we can.